probably an hour or so before sunrise. And I came out here to the mud flats where I was yesterday. And typically what I would do in these sort of situations is I'd leave the camera in place overnight. That way I'd have a composition ready to go, because it's still pretty dark out here right now, and I really wouldn't be able to see the ground glass good enough in order to see composition and see focus. And if I had a camera set up and waiting to go, it just makes life a lot easier. And that's something I've done a lot over years past, but I didn't do that last night, mostly because it seemed like the storm that was going to come through overnight was going to have a little bit of a punch to it, but it really didn't do too much other than just get the ground kind of wet. So in retrospect, it probably would have been good to leave the camera overnight, but this right here is the east, the west is over there, and yesterday my camera was facing the west, and right now there's just rain coming in, as I'm sure you can probably see right now. So I have a better view over here towards the east. I suppose there's a chance that there could be some degree of light that happens near sunrise, but it's really hard to say. And as it gets a little bit brighter, I'll have an opportunity to probably set up a composition. But I think my best opportunity with this storm coming through is to be taking a photo after the storm clears out, sort of the clearing storm, the clouds that kind of hang along the mountains. I think that's where my opportunity is going to be. Today it's supposed to be pretty darn rainy all day long, especially near noon. It's supposed to be really, really rainy. So much so that the area I'm standing right now might actually be a river, and all these wonderful mud patterns might get reinvented in the many days to come. But we'll see what happens. Taking 2 photos of that scene, and I have next to no hopes that they're going to turn out because the conditions weren't really great. It's all about having good light, and I don't think I had good light, but it's more a matter of me getting out there, setting up a composition, kind of working through all the motions, because it's going to be really rainy for the rest of the day. As we get closer to noon, the rain's really going to build in, and when that happens, I'm not really going to have many opportunities to shoot. So I think more than anything, it's just an exercise of getting out there, shooting photos, and kind of figure out really what I want to do here. And that's the main thing, because when the storm clears out, there is some potential for some really, really beautiful scenes. And I think it's going to be a matter of trying to figure out what I'm going to do for that. So I'm going to take off here pretty soon. I've had my breakfast, and I'm going to kind of drive around, see if I can find where it is I'm going to do my clearing storm shot, if that happens. But one other thing I wanted to mention, when I was hiking back from shooting the photo this morning, I decided to use my dark cloth as a rain cover, kind of over my shoulders, over my bag. And it probably wasn't the most graceful looking of setups. It was sort of like a cross between a superhero and a hunchback, but probably a little more so a hunchback, but incredibly effective. So I'm gonna hit the road and see what else I can find. So after breakfast, I decided to go for a little drive, and there was a little bit of a break in the storm, and there's some really nice sort of clearing clouds along the mountains to my east. But you know, I found something that might have worked for a composition, but by the time I even brought my camera over there, it was gone, and just the cloud level just dropped really, really low. It started raining really hard. Then I came over here, and I saw this area where these kind of light salt flats out there. And when I got here, there was some really nice bright light kind of down low, then it got really dark as it went up. And I set my camera up here under the shelter of the back of my 4Runner and just made a single composition. I mean, I don't really expect much from it, but it'll be interesting. Just kind of showing some of the salt flats, some of the bushes, and just lots of just empty sky there. So we'll see how it turns out, but this is definitely a roadside photo. I'm gonna keep heading further south and see what else I can find. So it has been a crazy day, and these are the sorts of days that really make me sort of rethink things as a landscape photographer, because when you have these conditions that are changing so fast and you have these absolutely beautiful conditions with these rainy skies, clearing storms, all that sort of stuff, yet I am so unprepared to photograph them just because it takes so long to set up the camera. And by the time I set up the photo, the scene's completely different. And that happened probably about, maybe 7 times today. And I photographed a total of 3 subjects, but I have very little faith that any of them are gonna be decent. I think most of them are just an exercise of setting up the camera, trying to find a composition and trying to convince myself that I can actually work in these conditions. But now that the storm has passed, we're gonna have some clear skies, maybe a little clouds in the morning. So I think what I really need to do is kind of get back to the fundamentals of what I've done well with here in Death Valley, which is finding a subject I really like, finding a composition, and maybe leaving my camera overnight and waiting for that nice morning light where I can just take my time and hopefully take some photos that I'm proud of. But I don't really have any confidence in any of the photos I shot today. You'll see them after I'm done with this, but if anything turned out, I think it'll be a minor miracle. But now it is time for dinner, and I gotta load some film and come up with a plan for tomorrow. This ad-free content and want to help me live my dream. A voluntary contribution of just $24 a year helps keep my gas tank full and my film freezer stocked. For more information on how to support me and my work, please visit the donation section of my website at benhorne.com/donate. I also have prints in my 2017 portfolio box set available on my website. You can find a direct link down below in the show notes. Thanks in advance for your support.